The glory of God is the desire of every believer, but somehow along your race in Christianity, there are certain things that you do that prevent the glory of God from shining. If you want His glory over your life, here are 5 traps to avoid. Number 1. Sexual immorality. In a world where sexual immorality, such as fornication, adultery, masturbation, and any other form that you can think of, has become the new normal of the day, and nobody even sees it as a sin or something wrong anymore, has made it the easiest trap that the enemy uses to prevent the glory of God from reigning in your life. In almost every magazine, television station that you see, they're all talking about sexual immorality and are even encouraging it. In the world today, they also tell you you can't keep a relationship without sex. And so because of that, you see believers drop every sense of spirituality and get involved in it just so they can have and maintain their relationship with the opposite sex. Trust me, someone who loves you would be willing to wait for marriage. Beloved, all these are the traps of the enemy to deceive the children of God, to prevent the glory of God to shine in their life. Our body is the temple of God, and so we've been called to keep it holy. When you partake in all this sexually immoral acts, you only prevent the Spirit of God from dwelling inside of you. And if He's not there, God's glory can't be in your life. The book of 1 Thessalonians 4 verse 3-5 says, quote, "For this is the will of God, that you should be consecrated," or separated and set apart for pure and holy living, "that you should abstain and shrink from all sexual vice, that each of you should know how to possess, control, or manage his own body in consecration," or purity, separated from things profane, and honor, not to be used in the passion of lust like the heathen, who are ignorant of the true God and have no knowledge of His will. End quote. We are believers, and so we can't be ignorant over the will of God. If you've been indulging in it, it's time to ask God for forgiveness and start anew if you want the glory of God over your life. Sexual immorality is still a sin. Don't let anyone make you feel it's okay. Number 2. Bad company. The devil and his tricks never amaze me. The devil knows just how much the company you keep matters a lot, and it can either make or break you. So what he does is make you feel as if you're wise, and it's not possible to become like the company you keep. This has always been a sure trap of the enemy, even today, and most believers have fallen for it without even realizing when and how they got to the point they are now, which has stopped and prevented the glory of God from reigning over their lives. The Bible, speaking in 1 Corinthians 15 verse 33, quote, "Do not be so deceived and misled. Evil companionships, communion, or associations corrupt and deprave good manners and morals and character." End quote. God is not a foolish man that He would say something that is not true. You gradually become the company that you keep without realizing how you got to that point. Most people have gone into fornication, smoking, drinking, and many other evil vices because of the kind of company that they keep. The enemy only uses their friends as a trap to draw them into where he wants them to be. Don't give the devil this opportunity to take you away from Christ and make you something that you would live to regret. Make the golden choice today and turn away from friends who do not reflect Christ in your life. There's so much you could be doing with that time. You have no business with the sons of the world. Paul, speaking in his second letter to the Corinthians, said in chapter 6, verse 14, quote, "Do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers, for what partnership has righteousness with lawlessness? Or what fellowship has light with darkness?" End quote. Now you know the truth. Don't wait till the damage has been done. Now that you can still listen, leave those friends if you want the glory of God over your life. Number 3. Pride. There's a thin line between having confidence in oneself and having pride. Because of this slight difference, many believers have been unable to draw the line of self-confidence before it turns into pride, which has prevented the glory of God from shining in their life, and they have fallen into the trap of the enemy. Trust me, it's really good to have a good definition of what you can do, what you have, and who you are. But what most people fail to understand is that it begins to breed the feelings of you're better than every other person, and you can do all things on your own, which is just the beginning of pride. If you're not careful, you will fall into this trap, and the Bible has made it clear how God dislikes those who are proud. The book of James 4 verse 6 says, quote, "But he gives us more grace. That is why Scripture says, quote, God opposes the proud, but shows favor to the humble." End quote. God opposes those that are proud, so His glory cannot reign over your life if you are proud. Without God, there's absolutely nothing you can do. So what is the essence of feeling boastful? Also, without God, you cannot be all that you have come to be. So why not respect this God and remember how far He has brought you? The Bible went further to warn us in Proverbs 16 verse 18, quote, "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall." End quote. You need to watch it with that pride before you get to the point of no return. But Christ still promises to uplift you in the book of James 4 verse 10, quote, "Humble yourselves before the Lord, and He will lift you." End quote. Beloved, if you want the glory of God to reign in your life, run from any form of pride. I also know that at some point we struggle to find the balance. I pray God will help you. Number 4. Envy and jealousy. It's not easy trying not to fall into this trap, because at times, the more you try, the more the other person is giving you more reasons to be jealous. The devil knows just how deadly this trap can be, and also how it would prevent the glory of God from ever reaching you. That's why he would do everything within his power to continue to fuel that thought in your heart. As believers, we know better. The Bible, speaking in James 3 verse 14 to 16, says, quote, "But if you have bitter envy and selfish ambition in your heart, don't brag and deny the truth. Such wisdom does not come from above, but is earthly, unspiritual, demonic. For where envy and selfish ambition exists, there is disorder and every kind of evil." End quote. Wherever envy exists, there's also every kind of evil present. The truth is, jealousy normally starts as a simple thought, but if not well taken care of, it leads to every form of wickedness. Many believers have murdered because of the inability to control this jealousy. And finally, envy, which would make you want to have what the other person has. Beloved, if you want to see the glory over your life, it's time you begin to allow the Spirit of God to come over you to destroy every form of jealousy. The Bible has always taught us to be contented with whatever we have, and out of that contentment, more will come. Don't allow the devil to push you into this trap of his. It's not going to end well. Be happy for people when they have theirs, and the Lord who sees your heart will also grant you your heart's desires. Number 5. Gossiping and backbiting. This trap is also very easy to fall into without even realizing that it's actually what you're doing. That is stopping the glory of God from reigning in your life. From a little conversation with another colleague of yours, before you know it, you're already discussing another two in a way that's not pleasant. Other times, you might be on your own and someone will bring the discussion before you, and you might find it difficult not to say anything about the other person. So you finally give in to that discussion. Beloved, it's time to flee from every form of gossiping and backbiting if you want the glory of God over your life. The psalmist, speaking in Psalm 101 verse 5, says, quote, "Whoever secretly slanders his neighbor, him I will destroy. No one who has a haughty look and an arrogant heart I will endure." End quote. God is never happy with anyone who does this, and as deadly as this trap is, it's the easiest you can ever fall into. Be careful. The glory of God over your life is the joy of every believer, but most times we fall into these traps without realizing it. If you want His glory, be careful not to fall. My prayer for you today is that God gives you the grace not to fall into these traps.